Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thanks
Let's
for having
do
us.
this thing.
Yeah.
Here we go. Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Alliance Group podcast. We have two wonderful guests joining us in the studio and here at Alliance HQ in Atlanta, Georgia. We have Michelle and Connor Niebrugge with Five Rings Financial. Two have been rising stars for a while, but they've absolutely exploded this year to a whole new level. Michelle, Connor, thank you so much for being here, guys.
Of course.
Thanks for having us.
I was really excited to get you guys in. You know that we love you guys. You're awesome. We have a great relationship. I've known you guys for many years, and so that's why it's been so awesome to see what's happening to your production this year. What has it been like? I mean, I know you guys, everyone has big goals, but you guys are really starting to hit some pretty big numbers here. It started last year. It's been kind of going like this. What is it like to really start to experience some of this success that you've been aiming for?
It's honestly been a blast. And
Yeah.
part of that's come from kind of settling into who we are, what we work with, our spaces where we're really good
Right.
and great at and where we feel good. So then we're doing more, but we're feeling better as we're doing more. And then it's fun. Like, it really is fun to continue to excel, to honestly have the team surrounding us, but every number that's on that scoreboard is another family, another business, another person that we've got to help, and that's truly the energy, that's the motivation. It's not the coffee, it's the people.
Right.
It feels great, especially like for us it feels like we finally, after 6 years of working together now, have settled into what works for each of us within our business dynamic, and that's been amazing.
Well, I think that's been the greatest thing watching you guys is that you guys are very much, as a couple, you're like yin and yang. You have this wonderful balance. I mean, truly, you guys balance each other out. And I think that as an outside observer, part of it has been you guys really finding and figuring out what your strengths are and how you complement each other, and then settling in a very defined way into those roles, and the business has just exploded from that.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
it's all about kind of discovering each other's strengths and complementing each other's weaknesses and things like that. It's been amazing to watch. You guys, let's actually start at the beginning really quickly. You guys met through Five Rings Financial, correctly?
correct.
Yeah, correctly. Correct.
That's correctly correct. Yeah, we didn't know each other at all. Connor lived in Colorado, and he started about 6 months before I did with Five Rings. Then I started, obviously, 6 months later, and then we met about 6 months later at our first leadership retreat. So Connor had been with Five Rings right about a year at that point. I was about 6 months in, and we met because Jack Waldron was my main mentor and Trevor Jackson was his, and they're best friends.
Yeah.
So we were kind of forced in the same situation, became great friends with each other, and then with Sam Wilk, Mike's son, and that friendship has just continued on for a lot of years now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then somehow she convinced me like a year later to move to Oklahoma, and I thought it was going to be tumbleweeds and teepees, and it's amazing there.
Yeah. Connor was thinking about going back home to Illinois to work there, and it was at a point where I was expanding my other businesses, and I wanted Five Rings to still have the attention it was having.
Right.
Because it was having some really great traction in Oklahoma City, and it was at actually one of our trainings here with Alliance that Connor and Jack and Mike and I were all talking, and it kind of came with the idea of, what if instead of going to more of the Illinois, St. Louis area, what if Connor came to Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, Connor came to Oklahoma City.
That's amazing.
And then a couple of years later, Michelle and Connor dated and then got married.
Yeah. Just married last year. How long has it been now?
Just over 10 months.
Just over 10 months, coming up on your first anniversary.
Yes.
Congratulations in
Thank you.
advance.
Thank you.
It's been awesome to watch your relationship and your business bloom. But you guys are now working, as we kind of brought it up earlier, this dynamic that you have. So all this great production, I think, is really due to you guys, like I said, kind of finding your roles and how you can work together in the best way. You've really started to do that. Starting with Connor, you kind of work with people. You do more of the field training for agents that you guys bring on, right? Yeah. Tell me about your role in this dynamic that you guys have. Basically, what I was just starting to talk about. Your field training. You're talking to families. You're setting up that basic protection.
Sure. Yeah. So, kind of my role within what our business is, I do the interviewing and initial hiring and training, and so along with that, it's a very easy, natural step to bring somebody through their client process for themselves and let them see what it looks like to work with us.
Right.
And help them make sure that they get the protection that they need. And then usually most of the time, people's first few appointments are going to be, bringing in people who are going to need just that living benefits protection, that coverage, maybe starting a tax-free retirement, or maybe they have an old 401k or an IRA or Roth or something like that they want to move over. But it's just that the typical basic stuff that most middle Americans need that nobody's ever talked to them about, that they don't even know exists.
Absolutely.
And so I'm able to bring them, kind of interview them through take them through that interview process, let them see what that looks like, and then help them with their first few clients.
Right.
And then usually from there, they kind of get some more confidence. They're like, hey, I get this. And then they start to do some appointments on their own, or they have more confidence to talk to people who are going to be more advanced, more complicated. They have business owners.
Things like that.
And then that's where Michelle is able to step in and field train and work with those people like that. And so it's taken a lot, in the beginning I was doing the interviewing.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, Michelle, you do it all.
Right.
Babe Ruth, one of the things I always said is, if you have Babe Ruth on your team, like, you put Babe Ruth up to bat all the time.
Right.
And then
get them up when runners are on base.
Yeah, right. And then Mary Fisher one day pointed out, she goes, a baseball team is 9 players, not just one. And I was like,
all right, I got to get out of my comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and you've done an amazing job of that, Connor, which is now Connor is kind of administering that basic 5 Rings experience. So when I say basic, I mean, this is what 5 Rings Financial has done and absolutely exploding all over the country, right? You guys are educating the average middle American about how money works. Right. You're helping them set up living benefits protection for themselves. You're teaching about the power of compound interest and tax-free retirement and things like that. So you're basically administering that basic experience from 5 Rings Financial, which is a lot. And then, Michelle, you are able to kind of take your mind off of that and focus on some of those larger opportunities, some of those more complicated cases, problems that you can solve. Yeah. Tell us about your role in this dynamic.
Yeah, so Connor kind of mentioned it when we first started working together. Technically, day one, Connor stepped in as our admin, because I don't like paperwork. I don't do paperwork well. So a lot of things were not being done on that backside that probably should have been. And
right.
So then he stepped into that role. Well, when he took over doing those basic type of appointments that are so crucial in who we are, and we never wanted to give up those happening,
right.
It allowed me to really settle into where I do thrive. And that is the more complex, the happier I am, but also the more I feel like my skills are being used. I love problem solving. I love knowing way too much about way too much. And so that really gives me the avenue to take something like a business owner and walk them through everything from maybe needing to understand their P&L to, do they have a buy-sell agreement? Is it right for their business if they have one? Is it actually funded?
Right.
What does any of that mean? To then what are their benefits for themselves, for their employees?
Selfish benefits, as Steve Walther calls them, right?
Yeah, selfish benefits, but also their employee benefits.
Right.
What are they wanting to offer? What does that look like? Do they have a really special someone that they want to take care of extra than maybe the high school employee that's probably going to turn over in 3 months?
Right.
How do we
Making
begin
sure
to
that you're
build
protecting those key employees, right?
Exactly.
The ones you really want to hold on to. How do you make yourself sticky to them?
Exactly. And then how do you plan for strategic movements? I love growth plans. Small business or business, because I think those kind of go together, are the backbone of our country.
Yep.
It's so important. But when we look at stats, most businesses don't go past the 3rd generation. And a lot of it becomes we're not doing strategic movements. We're not planning. We're not growth cycling well, whether it's growing while we're in business or that kind of legacy planning. How is this going to pass on? What is this going to go to? Who is this going to be next step? And so getting to have those conversations so we don't run into a business that either has that strategic movement is the word I use all the time, but maybe it's buying a building. We need to do that. So now we're building equity instead of paying rent, but the perfect building comes up, but we've not thought about it. So there's no money set aside. So we're not buying a building.
Right.
Or, we're a trucking company. We need to bring on another truck, but there's no money for it. So if we've planned for that and we can build out that account, that money, that plan, when those strategic movements come on, we're ready for them. We're planning for them. We're growing towards them. So our business keeps growing.
Right.
And then, of course, like I kind of mentioned, planning our exit strategy. There will be an exit strategy, whether it's you passing away, you, an employee, a kid. Sometimes it's a mixture of both. You're selling it to multiple peoples. How do we plan that out so it goes in the most tax advantage way, but also in the best health for the business and for the owner that built this or kept it alive.
All of this takes planning. You actually were a business owner yourself,
Yep.
which is I think why you love to work with business owners.
Yep.
But before Five Rings, obviously Michelle ran her own business, which was
So I had a couple. I had an escape game, a lounge, and then an event space.
that's so cool. So
fun.
so a lot of business owners, I'm sure that you've seen, they're so busy running their business that they don't have time to think about, or don't even realize that they need to be thinking about a lot of these, solutions that you're bringing to the table.
Well, exactly. I tell everyone, I needed a me. The person I am now is what I needed. It's what my friends that were business owners needed, and it's why I became that. No one teaches us how to be business owners. And honestly, even if you get a business degree, you're not really being taught how to be a business owner, how to understand these things, plan these things. And if you want to try to learn it, you're Google searching and finding, 2 million hits that half of them contradict each other, and you don't know if that actually applies to you because you're uniquely different, because there's not a cookie cutter model out there.
Right.
And so it's very complicated for business owners to do that side well and still do what they're doing, why they got into business, why they love it, and doing that well.
Yeah.
So I like to just be that part of their team that lets that thrive more.
Right. So if somebody was watching this and, obviously you guys, what you're doing is incredible. There's a huge opportunity at Five Rings Financial. They've been growing at a ridiculous rate. They're going to have another, not just record-setting year, but you guys are going to almost double from what you did in a record-setting year last year. It's ridiculous what's going on. So a lot of opportunity here to help people. We've talked about Connor and how you kind of help new agents. What would you guys say to somebody out there who maybe isn't even in the industry yet? Maybe they got their license a while back and it didn't work out. What would you say about the opportunity at Five Rings Financial and with your group in particular?
Go for it first.
I would say it's huge.
Yeah.
Just in the sense, now I do always tell people we hire people based, we want someone that cares about a person, not a paycheck. We hire for character and we train for skill. So the first and foremost is you don't have to be a numbers person. You don't need to be a salesperson, any of that. You have to care about people and want to help them find solutions that make their life better. And when you're that person, then the opportunity is truly huge. There are millions and millions, honestly, there's billions when you really think of it, of people out there that need help, that need to understand, that want someone that genuinely cares about them. So if you're that person, it's insane what we can do. I tell people all the time, I talk to our agency about it a lot specifically, is if we look at our market, just our little surrounding area, how many of us there needs to be able to truly make an impact, that when we look 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we're seeing, better numbers. It's not the only 2% of people are making it to retirement and they're not above, that are above the poverty line. We can have it to be, we want obviously the flip of that, but maybe it can be 20, maybe it can be 30, 40% because of that splash we're making, because of providing that financial education, because of providing those honestly simple solutions, but not common sense solutions. And that's the problem. A lot of money stuff is not necessarily complicated. It's just not always common sense.
Right.
So if no one tells you, you don't know.
Exactly.
So the opportunity is huge. It truly is.
Yeah, I'd say it's massive, and it's one of those things that when I got out of the military, there were 12 of us that went into finance. There's 2 of us still in it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, and the thing I hear all the time is with Five Rings, kind of that opportunity is huge, but then the mentorship, the love, like, hey, like I tell people, new agents all the time, like, if you want to crawl, cool, let's crawl. Yeah. If you want to run, we'll run. If you want to sprint, we'll sprint. Like, I'm right here with you. We're right with you. Whatever speed you want to go, whatever that looks like for you, it's your business.
Right. And by crawling, you mean it might be part-time at first, right?
Yeah.
It might be just inviting people to events and not necessarily needing to get licensed at first. Just inviting friends to come. If you want to take that next step and get licensed, you can do that. If you want to try to, set personal production records in your first year, you guys are all for helping them do that. I think it's incredible. And, one thing that I've talked about several times on this podcast is the culture at Five Rings and how it's so leader-centric. I mean, you guys have layers upon layers of leadership that's really being built out. And you guys, I mean, I remember it wasn't that long ago that you guys were kind of the newbies coming in and leaning on the leaders above you because you needed answers. You had questions. You needed training. You needed to learn these things. And now we've watched you develop into some of the top leaders at Five Rings Financial. It's like, it's almost like the first book of the Bible. It's like, it's begat. You got Mike and Monica. You've got Jack Waldron. You've got Mary Fisher. You've got Gustavo and Marina. You've got you guys, and it's just layer upon layer of leadership. You guys are truly building leaders. Talk about that culture and what that what you guys what your experience has been and what you have been able to witness as far as the leadership at Five Rings Financial.
Well, I'd say, honestly, you want to go first?
No, go for it.
If it wasn't for that,
yeah,
I can at least speak for myself and say I would not be here today. And for a couple of reasons. Everything from the side of it that is, as I was running multiple businesses while doing Five Rings at first, because there was about 2 years I was doing both.
Right.
And I told you, kind of expanded my business. That's why Connor moved down. That was a very rough time in the sense that a building project to build out the space we were for other businesses was supposed to take 3 months. It took 10. There was all of that. The leadership and the love that I was getting from things like Jack and Mike and their still willingness to commit to me when I was committed to Five Rings, but I was not time committed to Five Rings because I had to be to the other was something uniquely special. Then you bring up all of our other leaders. We talk about it all the time. Who we are as individuals, as business owners, as leaders is not just our wonderful Jack Waldron. It is so much of other people, from what Trevor poured into Connor to, I can think of so many conversations with Mary Fisher, with Heather Brinkman, with Andre, with Lyle, with all these different people and everything outside of just my direct leadership that is in charge of making sure I'm helped. Jack and Mike and Mark are in charge of making sure Michelle is taken care of. But all these other people I just mentioned, and
there's this
so
rich
many more
resources all around you.
Yeah. When I first did a Wine Win Wealth, I don't know if you know this, but Jack Waldron's not a woman. So
it's hard for him to give you advice about Wine Women and Wealth.
Yeah. So to have a Mary Fisher, to have a Denise Aaron, to have these people that were, hey, here's this. And to this day, we were talking about it yesterday. There's a cute thing we do with our agency that made our life a lot more simple. And it was something Denise Aaron kind of halfway said in passing of, hey, maybe try this. And it was monumental changing in the ease, the comfort of what one of the small thing we were doing, but a thing that was causing stress almost weekly that took it completely away, simplified, and honestly made it better. And so just that, Denise in no way is going to profit from me being a little bit less stressed in what she gave, but happy to share from her, decades of experience with us is, again, it's so unique. And I think a lot of agents that are in our world don't realize, the ones that are in Five Rings don't realize how lucky we have it, and those that are not don't realize that there is a place that genuinely loves and cares and is family and that believes a rising tide raises all ships and is not hiding the secrets. We're having a great year. Jack Waldron's having, there's so many of these great years, but it's not hidden behind closed doors. It's here's exactly what I'm doing, word for word, thing for thing. You can do it too. And that's so rare and so special. And I'll forever be thankful for it. It obviously was life-changing in a lot of ways. I got a husband from Five Rings. But just in what that is, I can't put it into words. It's truly family.
Yeah, there's something about Five Rings, and it attracts people who genuinely care, love, and want to help. I mean, I was having a conversation a couple of months ago with a friend about what we get to do for our agents and how we get to love on them and celebrate and go out and do fun events on the weekends with them and stuff like that. And they're like, you can do that? Like, you're allowed to do that? And it's like, yeah, like I'm allowed to. Like, we are encouraged to do that. Like, we're encouraged to love on the people and help when somebody needs help. And I think
do life with them.
Yeah, do life with everybody. And that's kind of the cool thing is, like, when we got married, except for our siblings, like pretty much our entire wedding party was Five Rings. And then like half the people at our wedding at least was also Five Rings. And it's just, it really is, it's more of this family, this love, like, how can I help you? Like, that rising tide raises all ships, and the wonderful Alliance slogan too, like, together we're better. Like, it really is, and we all have this mentality.
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch that culture develop. You guys really have something very special there. What I've noticed about Five Rings is that, like the people you were talking about, the people who have their hearts in the right place, who genuinely come and they're there because they want to help people. They want that to be a part of their daily life. They're not satisfied in their job that is maybe a 9-to-5 that's just about getting the job done, running down the tasks, and kind of leaving unfulfilled at the end of the day. Generally, the people who come to Five Rings that I have seen that don't come from that, I want to help, that don't come from that servant's heart, they kind of weed themselves out, don't
Yes.
they?
They do, yeah.
And we've
then-
watched some of that over the years.
Right.
They leave.
Yeah, they do. And then also I've noticed people who maybe just have a spark of that. It gets fertilized and it gets nurtured, and the hearts grow as they kind of go through Five Rings, because that is the culture. It's a huge part of the culture.
It is. We talk about our 5 rings, and each ring has a meaning. I always joke the love is the top one, because everything trickles down from that. And honestly, that's our company. That's Mike Wilk.
Yeah.
Mike Wilk loves people. Like, he obviously could have retired plenty moons ago.
Yeah.
And he never will. This is
Yeah.
what he's going to do because of his love for us, not because he needs another penny in his pocket.
Right.
But that love. And so that trickles down from the top, and it's impossible not to be covered by that. And if you don't love it, you peace out.
Yeah.
You leave. If
Yeah.
not, you really embrace it, and then you become a sap like everyone else, and it's annoying and great all at the same time.
It is pretty awesome. We just closed the Five Rings Alliance training camp here in Atlanta. You guys are kind of tacking this visit on to the end of that. It was an incredible event. A lot of new people in the room. Five Rings is growing like crazy, but it's really those agents' first opportunity to kind of feel that culture, right? To kind of get a sense of that. It's always a really special thing.
No, we love it. And honestly, I'll just say, I talk a lot about 5 rings and that. I think that's why we fit so well together with who Alliance is you guys have that same mentality. We talk with our agents, even talking about what trips they can earn and everything. We talk about the Alliance trip all day long.
Yeah.
And it is. You guys called a family reunion, but it is. You guys are family. When I think of our community and our love, it doesn't just stop with because you have a 5 rings logo. The Alliance team is just equally such a part of who we are.
Yeah.
And it's because the culture is the same with you guys as it is with us. And so we mesh together to make one big family, and it's special.
Yeah.
It's doing things for the right reasons. If you do, Jerry Stratton always used to say, if you're in this business to chase commissions, you'll be out of this business really quickly. If you come with a servant's heart, if you come with the desire to help, there's no limit to what you can do in this industry. And that's kind of, I think that is a fiber that is woven through both of our companies, Alliance Group and Five Rings Financial, which is what's made us so awesome partners. And, talking about, a rising tide raises all ships. Both ships are doing pretty well right now.
I'd say so. Yeah.
They're doing pretty well. And I don't think that's an accident. I think it's what you're talking about. It's coming from a place of love and letting love, guide everything that you do, and everything works out from there.
It's purposeful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, speaking of love, we love you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
No, of course. We love you guys.
Right.
We're gonna film a lot of some social media stuff for you guys in the studio today. As part of what we offer at Alliance Group to all of our partners. It's gonna be a fun day. Thank you so much for starting it this way with this awesome podcast, and thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
Thank you,
us.
Sam.
It was a pleasure.
Listen to this interview and more on the Alliance Group podcast.